Assalamualaikum and good day everybody. My name is IMAN. I am the host for today's podcast and I am a student of IIM.
My name is BINTI AZMAN. I'm a panelist from student IIM Pago.
Alright, to Faith Meets Innovation, where we talk about how digital technology is slowly and consistently transforming Islamic education. With the increasing use of technology, learning Islam does not just happen in classrooms or halaqah, but we can also acquire it through social media contents, virtual lessons, and also online meetings. But here's the big question that we will unpack today. As Islamic learning moves online, what does this mean for teachers, students, and the future of our Islamic education?
This is really a good question for discussion today. Well, we can clearly see that with the emerging of new media, the digital technology, it has a big impact on our community and society. That involving young and old generations. Because I think you can see a lot of Islamic content creator, influencer that affecting our daily life when we are scrolling our social media, when we are using YouTube, online websites. It's everywhere actually. Also, learning Islam has become more easier with just one click only. Even my dad, who is in late 60, he can actually tune into dakwah video, live on TikTok about Ustaz Azwar about anything that is Islam, and he will share it to me so that we learn about it together and improve our salah, prayer, recitation, and so on.
Alright, to understand the present, which is the online Islamic learning, we have to look back a little. We need to look at the history. Back in the days, Islamic learning was centered around mosque, madrasa, and halaqah circles, where the place where Islamic knowledge was passed down from the teachers to the students slowly and personally. And the students, they would memorize everything that was being taught to them. And then after that phase, Islamic learning shifted to formal institutions like universities and Islamic schools, where they have the same goal, which is to preserve and to transmit Islamic knowledge, but with a more organized method. And then comes the digital wave, which is this current situation. At first, it was via radio and the television, and then only recently that learning Islam via the internet has become the new norm. And then, have you ever had any experience learning Islam online? Because I can clearly remember when I was younger, I used to attend a Quranic face-to-face tuition to improve my recitations. But nowadays, I can see that a lot of ustaz or ustazah are offering online Quranic tuitions.
Yeah. Obviously, I have experience using digital technology to learn Islam, because as a university student, we had to depend a lot on technology. Especially during COVID times, where we cannot go anywhere with the virus spreading. But I have experience also going to learning and editing in Ustazah house, like face-to-face learning. But it's taking a time, and I remember I was chased by the dog when we went to go Ustazah house at the times. It was such a memorable thing. But now we can have online classes like tilawah classes, and recently we have an issue with Mahala, so we have to stay at home for 2 weeks, right? So we had to depend a lot on online classes, and that include online tilawah classes also. So what I can say is that it's really impressive to see that we can fix our tajweed, our recitations. Yeah, everything is just online. You just need to see it in front of your screens and learn everything.
So when we look at all these shifts from where we learn Islamic online, moving from going to the ustaz or ustazah's house to learn the Quran, to now the current situation where we need to have like an online tilawah class, it really shows how deeply digital tools are integrated into our daily lives to learn about Islam. And for many young Muslims, their first exposure to Islam was through online, through social media contents. They would listen to podcasts, and it's often very engaging to them because social media is like a necessity for young adults. And maybe you can share some of the examples other than social media to other examples.
Okay. So as of now, we have a bunch of applications, websites, and even virtual classrooms. Well, I can give you an example like Quran.com. I'm not sure if you have heard it, because it is actually good for reading and studying the Quran with translation and tafsir. Because I remember back when I was second year, actually, I was taking tilawah class 1, level 1, and at that time my recitation was pretty bad. So I had to depend on Quran.com to hear about it repeatedly and then practice until I think my recitation is perfect. And that's how I passed my tilawah level 1. Yeah.
And I also have experience using Quran.com because I usually use Quran.com app whenever I'm on a public transport because I couldn't afford to bring the Quran everywhere with me, but I do definitely have my phone with me, so it's just easier to utilize my phone to read the Quran.
Yeah, and we also have some things like application like Muslim Pro and others to remind us about prayer times, the Quran recitation, and even our Islamic lifestyle tips. And and I want to highlight about how the YouTube, TikTok is packed with Islamic content, with the scholars like Mufti Mang, Omar Sulaiman, and they are reaching millions audience. And also the podcasts, they are everywhere, and they are talking about from spiritual to mental health, all through the Islamic lens. And not only that, we also have online classes where we can learn Islam using Zoom, Google Meets, Google Classroom, Telegrams, and the teacher can teach their student across all the world. So you can subscribe to them, you can pay for their online classes. Plus, I think online content is way more interactive and more engaging, and it can reach people globally, and that include non-Muslim who are curious about Islam is. But it's not actually smooth sailing, right? Because one of the big issues that I noticed is the misinformation, because not everything online is accurate and true, because sometimes people share Islamic content without a proper knowledge or scholarly backing. Like, do you have anything to pick up your saying, your contents, like anything you say is not really true. We have to get something to make sure the content is not leading to confusion or misguidance. What do you think about that?
I have read an article about the challenges of using digital tools to learn Islam, and that is one of the most significant challenge I feel like that the authors have mentioned. And because social media is inclusive, it's open to everyone, so everyone can talk about anything online, and there are some people who are not credible to talk about Islam, but they still do talk about Islam. And then another thing that we're losing when using digital tools when learning Islam is the adab between the students and the teachers. Taking from my own experience, I admit this, that I sometimes used to get highly distracted when I use Google Meet or Zoom to learn lectures, to attend lectures, and I admit that it's very disrespectful.
Yeah, sometimes we do get sleepy when it's with a long lessons, So looking ahead to the future is pretty exciting. Thinking about how AI can help us, how we can learn the visual reality, let you experience many more things. But we still need to think about the ethical things, the digital literacy to everyone. So I think the Islamic education is evolving fast, and the key for this is finding a balance.
Yeah, at the end of the day, all these tools are just there to help us. As long as we stay mindful when we consume it, it is totally fine. Yeah, and that is all from us. Thank you for tuning in to Faith Meets Innovation. We hope you can learn something from this podcast. Until next time, Assalamualaikum.